Blessed risings, good afternoon or good evening, depending on where in the world you are tapping in from. You got to keep in mind that Keep It P podcast is a global show. And today, on this episode of Keep It P podcast, we will be discussing this is why they tried to erase it, because it was that cruel. That's it, that's all. That's why the spoiled male mafia does not want these type of videos. They don't want this type of programming. They don't want this type of podcast because we won't let you forget. Not at all. What happened at McDonald 19 Elementary School in New Orleans, where three little foundational Black American girls walked into one of the first integrated schools in America and were met by mobs of angry white adults screaming, threatening, spitting, and raging at children. Did I mention they were children? And usually I make you wait till after I say what I got to say. But see, I need to go ahead and take a break. So what I'm going to do is let this is what you came here for. Fair use. Fair use. I usually am not a fan of Negro trauma porn, but see, they want to get rid of these images in these videos, in these interviews, so that you forget, so you stop fighting for what you are rightfully owed, and that is cut the check, reparations. Cut the check or hit the deck.
You wouldn't send them back to...
Oh, no.
Where are they, McDonough or France?
McDonough 19, and my little boy, he's in the room, Miss Myers' room with the three little niggas.
I see. And you took your boy out the first day?
The three little girls that woman was talking about were Leona Tate, Gail Etienne, and Tessie Prevost. Just days before that interview, the three girls had become the first Black students to integrate the all-white McDonald 19 Elementary School in New Orleans. And they each had to be escorted by armed U.S. Marshals because there was a very large, angry crowd.
Now, I ain't gonna sit here and act like this was the best decision. This might have been the worst decision ever. But carry on. I won't interrupt it again.
Of demonstrators protesting their presence.
My mother telling me before we left the house, when the marshals arrived to pick us up, she said, when you get in the car, you sit to the back of that seat and don't put your face to the window. The street was just overwhelmed with people.
And I just felt like if they could get to me, they'd want to kill me, and I didn't know why.
The protesters were shouting threats, racial slurs, spitting, and chanting, "We don't want to integrate."
The only thing I could associate this with was Mardi Gras. We got there, we got out the car, and my daddy said, "Give me your hand." He said, "I'm here." He said, "Look straight ahead."
We got in the classroom. I remember parents coming in and just grabbing their kids by the hand, because the kids sitting at the desk, and just yanking them up and taking them out the classroom.
After a while, it was Leona, Gail, and myself, and the teacher, Miss Myers.
Only 3 students to attend McDonald 19 that entire school year.
We were not allowed to eat from the school. The water fountains were turned off. The only time we saw outside was when we came to school in the morning and when we left in the afternoon.
Now let's run it back to that first interview for a second. Pay attention to what the reporter asked.
Where are they, McDonough or France?
McDonough.
France or McDonald? See, Gail, Leona, and Tess integrated McDonald 19 on November 14th, 1960, the exact same day that Ruby Bridges was escorted by U.S. Marshals to integrate William Frantz Elementary School, also in New Orleans. William Frantz and McDonald 19 blocks away from each other. All 4 of these women are civil rights heroes. The story of Ruby Bridges went on to rightfully become famous, known in paintings and movies and textbooks.
Ruby Bridges.
The McDonough Three are mostly forgotten, erased, barely even mentioned in history.
Left McDonough 19 after second grade. McDonough 19 had become predominantly black, and the thing was to keep us in a white school. So we were transferred to T.J. Sims. This time we did not have U.S. Marshals or police protection. That was not a good experience.
Dang. Dang. That's why
You wouldn't-
I had to go ahead and let it ride. I had to let it ride out. I had to. But you did see that those were grown-ups. And do you see how we're still talking about the trauma that they carried from that moment? You see them as adults. See, this is the part of the story that they want softened. This is the part they want forgotten. These are the stories they want erased. You know why? You want to know why? Do you want to know why? Because it shows exactly how bad it was. And remember, people, that's only 1960, right? We're not talking about theories. We're not talking about opinions. We're talking about real moments where white adults stood in crowds and unleashed hate towards FBA children, simply trying to get an education, right? Because don't believe that it was just these two schools when this type of behavior took place. You've seen in part 2, they're going to talk about the next school that they went to, right? This happened. And they don't want you to say that was wrong. They don't want you to say how disgusting and brutal and traumatic this history is. See, they want to act like this kind of treatment just disappears. Right? Like it still ain't taking place decades and decades and decades later. Like there's no prison to school pipeline. Right? Right? Like these little girls didn't go home carrying fear. Like these FBA children don't come home carrying fear. Then grow up carrying a certain level of fear, right? Right? And it's really not the fear, it's the trauma. It's the fear of passing down the trauma. Not fearful of the spoiled male mafia. No. It's the fear of, am I passing down the trauma, the Negro trauma porn? Am I continuously passing it down, or do I ignore it myself because I don't want to pass the trauma on, right? Because the stories are told, you know, if for this instance right here, they told their children, then their children feel that. They feel that, you know, as a parent, as a child, you felt that. If your parents weren't feeling right, if your mom was sick and she was feeling down, you felt that. Your grandbabies feel that, right? That's how generational trauma works. It doesn't stay in the past. It moves through families. It becomes part of how people begin to see the world. It shapes how people trust other people. It shapes how people feel safe. And this is why reparations is needed. No more conversations. No more conversations. No one's stuck in the past. See, but the past didn't stay in the past. right? Your actions didn't stay in the past. Your evilness didn't stay in the past. Your heinousness didn't stay in the past. See? You continued with the heinous demonic moments that continued to create damage that kept echoing forward. The humiliation, the stress, the anxiety, the stories, right, that had been passed down and told at dinner tables. See, there was real harm, lasting harm, immeasurable harm. And this is why they want the history swapped, the deck clean, erased, because white people have to feel comfortable. See, because if you face it honestly, you have to admit, then you'd have to feel empathy for what FBA children have endured. See, you'd have to admit cruelty. You'd have to admit that you caused generational trauma that's had a lasting impact. Right? Because if you admit that there was a lasting impact, then when we discuss reparations, when we talk reparations, when we demand reparations, it doesn't sound so unreasonable anymore, does it? See, your statues don't seem so shiny no more, right? No one cares about your symbolism. These are about the living, consistently passed down consequences of what FBA children were forced to endure at the hands of grown white adults who chose hatred. And trauma like that doesn't just disappear. Not because time passes, it gets passed down. Those little girls went home traumatized. They told their children. Their children felt it. Their grandchildren felt it. And that is generational trauma. And that's how it works. And that is why reparations is necessary. But I ain't gonna hold you. I'm just gonna mold you, fold you, and scold you about being off code. Gonna leave you with 4 words as we always do around this time. Subscribe for the vibe, like for the spike, comment your vomit, and share if you care, if you dare to get Black empowerment everywhere. We're on all of the platforms: Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook. Come and take a look. You might get hooked. Don't get shook by the fake Keep It P podcasts that are out there. And there are some. I'm telling you, don't get mistaken. Don't get hoodwinked. Don't get bamboozled. Don't do it. Love, peace, blessings, and aloha. I gotta go how for sure how. You already know how. Big brother, light bright, supreme almighty.